Back from my trip. Portland was about coming apart when I was there, of course. And just got back last Friday, pretty much. And almost got crushed on the way in. Total miracle. This truck pulled over as I was barreling around him going up a hill, going the speed limit a little more. And probably going 5 over or something. And this truck just signals and gets over right as I'm right next to him. And I'm like, oh my, and this thing's closing in on me as I'm between the concrete abutment and him, his trailer, missing it by inches. As you couldn't have made a better movie scene of somebody barely escaping being crushed. It was just like, how did he not see me? I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I wanted to make a little commentary on the whole thing with shutting down police departments and stuff. I'm in a way not a fan of the police because I've had so many silly, petty interactions, and I think a lot of people feel this way. But we get a lot of immature people hired as police, and it's not the cream of the crop. I'm sorry. The people that are in there are often people who can't find jobs in other places, or they just want to lord over people. I don't know which it is, or if it's a combination. Sometimes those two go hand in hand. When you want to lord over people, you wind up being an idiot, and you then there's a few really well-meaning ones that are humanitarian and whatever. So you can't judge all police by any standard, for sure, but it'd be nice if they ran them through some kind of psych examination or something, Not that psychology's all that great, but better than nothing, maybe. I don't know. Give them some kind of test where we can discern whether they're power-hungry lunatics, or like the guy holding the gun on the guy going, "Get down!" And have you seen that video where the guy's in the hall, he and his accomplice come out of a hotel room in the hall, and this guy with a SWAT gear on is forcing him to get on the ground and roll around and do whatever he tells him to do, and now jump with both feet in the air, I don't know. He said things that confused the guy, and the guy didn't comply, and he drilled him. And that guy needs to go to jail. That officer is a lunatic and needs to be put away. So, yeah, there are those cases where we have, the guy that Neil and I didn't watch the thing because the media always presents things out of context, and it's like, yeah, it's going to go where it goes. There's nothing I can do about it. I already know there are racist cops out there. There are, in all the population, there are some people. But you're in the country in the world that got rid of slavery sooner in its history than any country in history, and there's still countries that have slavery. And I don't see these guys protesting those countries. It's all about crashing the U.S. economy and getting a world government in. That's the funded agenda that is going on. There's no funding behind anything else. Nobody wants to protest China. China, who's hauling blacks out of their houses and leaving them homeless. Nobody wants to protest that, do they? I don't see them protesting it. Where are they? They only protest stuff in the United States to create chaos because that's where the funding is. There's big money behind it. And you got the country that has, manifest things like being the most giving country in history. I mean, untold millions have gone to helping poor, needy people or people in disasters or whatever around the world, building hospitals. What other country has done so much of that than the United States? And it puts to shame any other country in history, pretty much. And why did that happen? Because people had a degree of freedom where they could pursue ends that made them wealthy enough to have something to share with others, to make things that were dreams they had, and not be punished for making it, not have their family killed so somebody else would get all the profits or whatever. And there's just, humanity has a terrible history. And the protesters don't seem to understand that. They seem to have been spoiled and think that they're in the worst place in the world, and they're really not. China is just horrible right now. They're persecuting Christians, and you go into Iran and you'll run into some real interesting things if you're a Christian sometimes. But the Iranian people are cool people generally, but the government is wacky, and there's ones all around the world that have agendas, and their people are funded to be that usually. Anyway, why I would like to see reform in the police here, I mean, for a long, long time, range to incidents like, I'll showcase one that happened to me 10 years ago or so, probably 2009 or something. When was that? I could look. It's on the internet. Dan Tiller was the Mountie who came over and issued me a disorderly conduct citation. I'm disorderly? I'm disorderly? Excuse me. Anyway, let me put on my Alex Jones mode. Okay. Anyway, yeah, no, I was not disorderly this day in the least. I did the most amiable things I could possibly do to resolve a situation that could have resulted in bodily damage to anybody in the picture. This woman was driving along Huffine, and she left a big gap, and it was going really slow, and I'm like, well, let these people know that I want to go somewhere someday today. And got over in the right with my putt-putt Cavalier and signaled and got over, and she sees me starting to signal and get over, and she's like, oh, no, you don't, and she does something completely illegal. She jams on her gas, closes the gap to a dangerous level, which it previously was not, and then shoots around the side of me in the turn lane, in the middle lane, passing me and the car in front of me, and then goes her way. I waited till the traffic cleared and pedaled it up 5 miles an hour or so, followed her all the way to the place where she was stopped there. I didn't follow her, I was going there anyway, but I consequentially followed her to Four Corners, where she was stuck behind 3 cars, I think, turning right. And I kind of shrugged my shoulders after getting her license number going around, and she careens that Buick into my fender had I kept going. She was angling for me there, and I just went, forget this, and I had a gap to go between traffic and get into the Conoco, and I signaled, got it in the Conoco, and she goes, Arch! And she's stuck at the stoplight. And now she's sitting there fuming as I go on my way at the speed limit and get down to Lower Rainbow where I'm going, and she had no alibi for being there, so she's going to be stalking me if she continues this course. And here she goes. She takes off and blows the speed limit and catches up to me. And I'm like, okay, great. Now we're on a road with pea gravel and kids on bikes and stuff. And she's already driven me off the road in another place, so I'm thinking, yeah, let's just stop the car. And I pulled the car on this abandoned, there's no traffic on it, and in the middle of it, there's no danger at all. So let's just resolve this. Stopped the car, got out. Lady, you gotta stop stalking me. And she goes, you're gonna mess with me? And she gets out holding this knife along her arm, and it was 12 inches long. I perfectly guessed it as the police finally went out to get it on Friday. This was Sunday. What is going on? Were they really that busy that they couldn't go get this lady who's threatening people with a 12-inch knife? Anyway, so I badgered him about that, and that got on their bad side. Police do not like to be told their job, especially when they're not doing it. And that is one of the things I object to. You need to be open to criticism, people. Get a little bit of maturity in your life so you can handle constructive criticism. Waiting till Friday to get the knife is stupid! So they might have killed somebody, you idiot. Okay. You can't make this stuff up. There are lame things police do sometimes, and it's just, anyway. So she gets out of the car, going, "You're gonna mess with me," and here she comes running at me, and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be interesting." I couldn't see the knife, or I probably would have just high kicked her in the chest and left her laying on the ground, and then called the police. But she just runs into my chest, and I just pounced her. I just went boom and just tightened it and sent her flying back 5 feet. And she's like, "What did I just hit?" I used to be really good at that. I probably still am. I haven't tried it for a while. But anyway, she gets this dazed look, and then I go, lady, I'm still going to have to turn you in for driving on the wrong side of the road. And she pulls this knife up. I'm like, you're going to threaten me with a knife now? And I raised my voice. Lady, I love you, but I'm still going to have to turn you in for driving on the wrong side of the road. And I yelled loud enough to where hopefully I got some witnesses, right? Because I didn't want to have this person out there with a knife and no witnesses. Okay, that makes sense, right? You'd think the police would have been all for that. Maybe. Okay, why don't you vote? Would the police give me a ticket for doing that, or is that the right thing to do? Should I have gotten a commendation? Ding, 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 ding. Time's up. What's your choice? Okay. It's just ridiculous. You're all going by now. They should just give him a ticket for being a smart guy. I know. But it is so pathetic, and this is what people hate. Any of you policemen watching this, we hate you making up arbitrary rules to make us wrong. Do you get it? If you were getting beaten on the side of the road now, I couldn't get involved for fear I would get charged with something, because you're idiots sometimes. You know, it just wrecks your reputation. Anyway, you're doing yourselves in. But so anyway, yeah. So she bounces off, and then where I left off with the place where the guy had come out from behind the tree after I raised my voice that last time, and she saw that, and she just recuffs the knife, punches me in the chest, and jumps back in her car, runs back to her car. She was by my car. I didn't get anywhere near her car. I was trying to just say, lady, you got to stop stalking me. Anyway, so she drives off. I call it in. It takes them to Friday to get the knife. She testifies she never took the knife out of the car. How did I describe it so well then? Do some actual police work. Cross-examine her. Oh, I was in my car going, ah! You know, really? Yeah, I wonder what her story was. I never actually heard her story. But the DA said he would win even if I pleaded not guilty because I had gotten out of my car. Really? Thought maybe she would have a gun, and I didn't want her to just run up and shoot me in the head. I have every right to get out of my car. I was concerned for my safety. I was concerned for kids' safety. I had to stop the car. They said you should have driven to the police station. Oh, and then the little kid gets killed, and then who's at fault? Me. It's always my fault, right? You always shift the blame to somebody else and just make up rules. That's the problem that legitimate citizens, law-abiding citizens have. Legitimate citizens. I call people that are breaking laws illegitimate citizens. If you are breaking laws, doing dumb things, you're an illegitimate citizen. Just deal with it, okay? I got somebody knocking at the door, so I got to cut this video off. Shut down the police. That's what I wanted to talk about, too. And a lot of people are saying just defund the police. Well, what do you get then? A friend of mine's an anarchist. I'm like, Rick, anarchy can't last. It's because there will always be people who will come up with a scheme to present a problem by robbing people or harassing people or doing bad things to people of various kinds. And they'll say, hey, we'll be the police and make sure this never happens again. And most people are docile and will just go, well, I want to keep doing what I'm doing, and sure, I'll pay a little bit to have protection. And so they start a protection racket. And sometimes there will be legitimate people that get involved and say, hey, I really want to see my neighborhood, and I'll volunteer for Neighborhood Watch to make sure it's clean of this stuff or whatever. And but in general, humanity is pretty lame overall, and so it's hard to maintain any kind of integrable force in that way without some extreme oversight measures, and that's what we really need more of, is oversight, I think. And I'm all for the body cams and stuff, documenting things. The thing with the guy with the assault rifle the other day was great. He should go to prison. What a fool. He's got a cam on showing himself doing that stuff. I don't understand how anybody could be that dumb, but anyway, maybe he's paid to do it. Maybe it was all set up. I don't know. Maybe the whole thing's a hoax. to try to incite us to get rid of the police. Anything's possible. I don't know what's going on there. I wouldn't put anything beyond the people that have so much money they can pay off 90% of the population and that will be bought off. Say, believe the lie and you get $1 million. Okay. You know, it's like most people will do that. Yeah, I won't. But anyway, so the whole thought of just shutting down the police is nonsense. You're going to have it replaced with something. Anarchy never lasts. And if we wind up with the social justice warriors being the policemen, I don't think it's going to go any better. I think it's going to go much worse, actually. And it would be nice if they had better training, though, and I think we should take the facilities we've built and use, you know, we got cars and things set up with high-tech gear and all kinds of good things. I mean, there are advantages to what we have. There's no use burning it all down like these morons did in Minneapolis. If you care about your community and you want to have any place where your kids can be employed and learn to grow and so on, you want to have a safe, secure environment where businesses can flourish. So anyway, yeah, that's my thought on that pretty much. But in the oversight area, we need to make sure that things like this get curtailed more, because it does change the public's opinion of the police to where they are disgusted when they're just making up arbitrary rules to make people wrong about things, petty fines and things. That's not how you make people like you. Make people with a legitimate input like you. Yeah, maybe I should start a GoFundMe and see how many policemen want to kneel and make up for the social injustice done against me in this incident. I mean, no joke. I would appreciate, it cost me $200, $180 and plus court fees, and untold hours of telling people this stupid story because of you people, you know? I mean, it really is a huge burden. I've probably spent thousands of dollars of my life because of that incident, trying to tell people how corrupt and messed up things are, and so that they can not put their trust in men. But yeah, if you get conscious about that, yeah, donate to my GoFundMe for moving the museum. I should post a link to that on the end. There you go. That'll be your social justice penance for the day. Have a good one.